Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you clicked on this video, you are most likely are interested in the VFX Apprentice Beginners Bootcamp, and I have some news. I've attended the bootcamp about a year ago, and I would love to share my experience with you all. This video will most likely be me just talking, so feel free to change the tab or put the video somewhere else. I'll have one of their trailers or one of their student showcase of the latest bootcamp looping in the background so you can see it. And yeah, I will think I will just jump right in then. Let's see. Okay, so I did participate in the VFX Apprentice Beginners Bootcamp when it first launched. I would love, like I said before, to just share my experience with you. But before I really dive into details, I want to let you know that since my participation, the bootcamp has undergone a lot of updates. Based on feedback from different students. So it could be that there's a thing or two, or even many things that are different right now. But I'll basically try my best to focus on the overall structure, on the overall feeling of the bootcamp and the benefits throughout my participation. This bootcamp is made of 8 weeks plus week 0, so kind of like a 9-week type of thing. I'll go through each and every week and explain to you my experience. We will start with week 0, which is basically an introduction week, let's call it. It more or less just lays out the foundation for the bootcamp. It provides you the essential information on the course structure and the Discord integration. I feel like that week made me feel very welcomed, and it gave me this welcoming feeling, which is something I was missing with other courses I've taken in the past. So yeah, I really applaud them for having that really kickoff week. Just an introduction. Here's how the how the structure is going to look like. Here's access to what you need of courses, and you could just check it out. And I felt like it was very nice. So yeah, that's it for week 0. We will dive in week 1 now, which is basically a kickoff and orientation week. So what do I mean by that? Week 1 is basically all about getting comfortable with the tools that you will be working with throughout the next couple of weeks. So Adobe Animate or Harmony, for example. I must say, I really appreciated week 1 because it encouraged experimentation while being, while stuck to the basics of visual effects, which I found something hard to pull off because, when you're experimenting, you at least know the basics. But in this week, they really pulled it off pretty well, encouraging you to experiment and at the same time learn the tool. So you learn in action, you kind of learn while you're doing it, which, by the way, what this bootcamp is all about. It's all about that you learn by doing. It's really focused on that. So yeah, in this week you'll most likely be jumping into 2D animations. So you get involved with the hard stuff in the beginning, so frame by frame. That's the beauty of it, because it's like week 1 you expect to make something simple and easy, But if you've never done 2D animation before, you might expect it to be hard. But that's the point, is that you better get used to the tools now and just get the basic introductory to it, which is something I really appreciate, because I was always afraid, just the stigma of like 2D animation. Oh, I have to do everything frame by frame. But like they kind of tell you to follow up, and like it's okay to fail, it's okay to not do it well, which I found really amazing. Yeah. So this week is setting up the stage for future lessons, more or less. You're diving in, you're testing the waters, but they kind of like throwing you in, but with throwing you in the water, but with support, because the mentors are there. It's good to make mistakes at this level. Don't be jealous of the other participants. Just like make mistakes, and just like give it all you got. Of course, this week you will get the first assignment. Every week you have assignments, so you have to hand in like a homework type of thing. But I don't want to call it homework, because it's way more fun than just homework. They call it assignment. It's something you post on, you hand in on the Discord. But also before that, you get to post your progress. By posting your progress, you get feedback from the mentors, a written feedback. This is something I found very helpful, because I was able not only read my feedback on my own work, but also I was able to read the feedback of all the other participants. And they were all types of levels. They were really advanced people there, and like I was able to even get the feedback that was written to them to implement on my own work as well. It's very valuable. You have what I first started with is that you have those assignments, those weekly assignments. You get to post the progress of your work until you reach that assignment. And then you have a deadline to hand in your assignment in a different channel, in a different chat, basically. So you hand in your assignment, you submit it, which then will be reviewed in the weekly session or the weekly call. My advice, of course, everybody's allowed to do whatever they want, is hand your assignment a day or two before, or hand it in a day or two before, because then the mentors will be able to see your work and formulate their feedback based upon your work. Okay. So yeah, in this week, you get your first assignment, and you'll do all those things. You'll get feedback written, and then you will all join in the call once you submitted your assignment, and the mentor will talk about theory, and also give feedback to everybody if they can, of course. Yeah, I really enjoyed this structure, because I always felt supported, and I was always able to ask questions, and always was encouraged throughout the whole bootcamp, basically. So like I said, they throw you in the water, but you have support. You feel very safe to experiment. Yeah, so in my opinion, week 1 was very exciting, rewarding, because of course a bit frightening, but like you have support, so you will feel just fine. Of course, it's a challenge, you're learning something new, but they do encourage mistakes. They do encourage failures, because that's how you learn. You learn from those moments where you're at the lowest, so you can improve. Okay, so that's it for week 1. Now we will dive into week 2, which is visual effects, or FX. That's not called visual effects, but effects foundations. So FX foundations. In week 2, you're focused on building a strong understanding of FX design. So the design language of FX, you also will learn a little bit about timing when it comes to animation, which is for VFX fundamentals is one of the most important things you need to know. So that's why early on you get to understand those concepts. But mostly through week 2, you would be focused on essential drawing skills. I think the folks at VFX Apprentice really emphasized that drawing is a skill that can be learned by anyone, so regardless of talent, which is something I really agree with. Now, like, the way I found that week is I used to draw. Like, I draw a lot, and I drew before the bootcamp. But I still found it challenging because you're just starting to understand the fundamentals of drawing when it comes to visual effects. So if you've never really practiced that before, doesn't matter how well you could draw. It's still valuable to really take that week, take your time, and give it your 120%, regardless if you could draw or if you can't draw. If you can draw, you should also take that week into consideration and really like put the time. They have even structure to how you should practice. They have exercises. I still do those exercises till this day because they're just they help your muscle memory to draw generally, not just visual effects, but to draw generally. I learned drawing from zero, so I don't believe it's a thing where you're talented to do. It's something you can definitely learn, and they really support you with that. Like I said with the previous week, they really encourage that that you give it your all, you try, even if you fail, doesn't matter. That's how you learn. Okay. This week is laying down those foundations that you will use in the upcoming weeks. So it's a really important step to take serious or to put in the work for. The exercises they provide, like I mentioned before, are very helpful. You get your hand and mind basically accustomed to drawing. Even if you're already experienced, you will get it accustomed to draw those shapes that create those amazing effects. Yeah, and basically you have an assignment. You hand in that assignment that week. You get before that you post your progress, you get feedback, you post the assignment, and then at the end you will most likely or hopefully get feedback from the mentor. I must add though, it's always helpful to listen to everybody's feedback. Don't take it too personal if maybe the mentor did not have the time to look into your specific assignment, because I trust I put all my trust into the mentors because I know they've seen the assignment and maybe they've seen something getting repeated by most of the participants. And so maybe they emphasize a point to get the learning, to teach as much as much as efficient as possible, let's say. All right, that's it for week 2. Now we will dive into week 3, how it was. Week 3 is about FX artistry. I felt that this week really focused on advanced design principles. What do I mean by that? So like you will start working with digital painting techniques. Week 3 is all about mastering the design language of effects. So week 2, you train those skills to draw different things. Now in week 3, you are learning how they work in motion, how they work, how this design work for water, what is the structure, what is the blueprint of those effects, like water, fire, smoke, clothes, all those different aspects. Like I said before, what is the blueprint behind all of this? And that's what you get in this week. So yeah, you will start learning about the laws of the movements, and how animators bring those different elements to life with their animations. Um, Mostly in this week, you will get comfortable with Photoshop and digital painting. This week was a bit confusing for me, but I was always encouraged to ask questions, and they were always answered with such an open heart, and they were heard. So you're very encouraged to ask questions. Like, if it's something you're confused, like in my case, for example, I was confused about the task or the assignment, and I was able to just voice out my concerns. And in the end, it was just me. I was confused. Like, the structure had nothing to do with it. So always ask questions. Never be shy. They're amazing people to talk to. Extremely professional and extremely friendly. All right, that's it for week 3. For week 4, you will have an intro to concept art. Oh boy, that's like one of my favorite weeks, because I come from a 2D background, and Photoshop, Procreate, this is exactly what I like to do. This week was definitely one of my favorite weeks. This week is all about, unlocking your creativity, diving into the world of FX concept art. You will be working with Photoshop or the digital painting software of your choice. Don't be afraid. They really, if you have no experience with Photoshop, if you have no experience with digital painting before, there's really no need to be concerned about anything. They really go step by step. They take you from the very basic things you could do with Photoshop to the more of the advanced things to do with Photoshop in a very short period, and without making anybody overwhelmed. You'll really get to know how to make those concepts, what type of tricks, and tips you could do with layers, with blending effects, with eraser, with masks, with clipping masks and things like that, with adjustment layers. It's very basic digital painting stuff, but it's very helpful to get those fundamentals. This is basically just like any other content in this bootcamp. They really are very good into taking you from the basics to the advanced stuff very smoothly without making you overwhelmed. I really enjoyed my stay in this bootcamp. Yeah. One thing I learned in this course, or in this week, sorry, one of the main things I've learned in this week is the concept of nail it first, then scale it later. One of my mentors gave me that message, and I even hang it on the wall because I tend to focus on portfolio pieces. I want to do it right, but they just told me to nail it first. That means get the skills that you need first, even if it's just a sketch you're doing. Be humble, and not everything has to be a portfolio piece. It actually, it's more. It's a portfolio piece has to be so well thought. Like, not you can't do a portfolio piece in 1 week. Maybe you can if you're extremely if you're a genius and extremely skilled. But it's better to make a portfolio piece over a period of weeks than it is to just make it fast for a bootcamp. Like, take that bootcamp as an opportunity to know what you want to improve and what you like, which is really one of the main points, I think, of that bootcamp, is that They give you a variety of things to work with, which we will see now as I go through the weeks, and then you will get to understand what you like, in which genre you feel like you're most motivated, and then you could, after that bootcamp, you could go and focus on that. Okay, now back to week 4, which is one of my favorite weeks. In this week, the reason why I felt it was one of my favorites, it's because, as I mentioned before, I come from a 2D background, and I had a blast just unleashing my creativity and blending those skills that I train myself with from the past 2 weeks. So drawing and understanding the language of the shape language of effects, and I was able to blend those new skills with my old knowledge in digital painting, and I was able to create this piece that was amazing. I really felt that I've achieved something I've never achieved before. It really helped me with that, and I'm very thankful for this week, because if anything, it showed me a new way to do my work, or to learn generally. It showed me this new way to learn, a new understanding of learning, by this, I wouldn't say intense, by this like very well structured weekly curriculum. Okay. So yeah, it's really incredible how understanding the design language and the fundamentals of effects can really enhance your artistic abilities in those in effects. And I felt like that was really helpful. All right, that's it for week 4. Let's dive into week 5, which is an introduction to 3D VFX. If week 4 was one of my favorite, week 5 was definitely my favorite week. And I will tell you why. In this week, you will get to explore 3D visual effects using game engines. So you have to you have the choice to choose between either Unity or Unreal Engine. And the beauty of all of that is there are tutorials tailored for each engine, and there's a project already made for each engine. So if you choose to work with Unreal because you've always were curious about Unreal, then you just choose that project and you watch those tutorial videos. And if you're more like me, you're focused on Unity because you already have experience in the games industry and you want to work in an indie studio, or the town next to you tend to work with Unity more than Unreal, or whatever, you know, whatever is passing for your future opportunities, you can go with it, and you have the opportunity to go with it. You have, at least before I went to the bootcamp, I was always afraid, should I learn Unreal? This tutorial, I really like the structure, but I don't understand Unreal, or I don't understand Unity. But they were really able to simplify that, and I personally looked into both, but I still did only the Unity assignment. But I looked into both because I'm interested in both. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. I wouldn't overwhelm myself, of course, with learning both in that week. If you have time later, you could check it out. Like I did, I basically went for Unity here. And then after I was done with the bootcamp, I checked Unreal and I tried to dabble with the tools there. Tinker with the tools. Okay. Of course, one of the reasons why this appealed to me so much, week 5, is I was always interested in visual effects in games. Since I was a child, playing games like Shadow of the Colossus. especially with that effect when when the Colossi dies and there's those black things coming out. I was always like fascinated, and I wanted to be able to recreate that, but there was this huge gap that was, knowledge gap basically, that was terrifying me. But this bootcamp made it so easy for me to understand the basics. But not only that, it kept me hungry enough to explore more tutorials online, and I will go to that more into details later. So in this week you will start blocking out simple particle effects of the game engine of your choice, of course. And what you would be able to do after that is that you would be able to experiment further on your own. So whatever you were able to do following those tutorials, you can tweak a couple of things, make it look a little bit different, maybe make a little research online how to do a certain effects and try to follow that, because now you finally have the knowledge to be able to understand what goes into those particle effects. So what was the highlight for me about this week is that I felt really empowered to dive deeper into particle systems in Unity, and I was able to tackle even medium level online tutorials like I mentioned before. It's so amazing when you know the basic tools and you know what each and every option does, and then you feel this confidence in exploring, which was before maybe stressful or hindering you before. At least how I felt. That's how I felt. So yeah, I absolutely appreciated how VFX Apprentice structured this week. It's truly a game changer, really, for me at least. So yeah, it's amazing. That's it for week 5. That's one of, I would say, my favorite, but I think there's another week that was really, really, really amazing. But we'll come into that. Week 6, which is about composition foundations. Week 6 is all about unleashing your creativity through texture creations and 3D modeling. It's an amazing week to understand what goes behind the scenes. So now you already learned about particles, and you've used existing textures, maybe an existing 3D model, but now you get to create, or you get to understand what goes into curating those textures to go into a game engine, or what goes into modeling your own meshes, and why does it matter, and which tools can you use. One thing to learn about VFX Apprentice is that you should never fear about which software you should use. So here you have support for Maya. You have a whole tutorial structured around Maya. You have another tutorial structured around Blender. I use Blender personally, and so I followed the Blender tutorial. It was amazing. I was able to understand everything because they kept it simple, just like just like they did in the other weeks. As for texture painting, they use Krita. Okay, that's it about this week. Honestly, for me it was a really fun week. It was like a nice break between the technicality, and you were able now to be a bit more creative again. All right, week 7. We will go into week 7, which is about shader foundations. Now shader, this is such a complicated thing to learn. At least that's how I thought. But this was such an eye opener for me. How powerful those tools are and what you could do with it, and also how informative this bootcamp really is. My first reaction was like, this can't be that simple, but it is. I wouldn't say it's too simple, but it is doable. It is understandable. I was never one for good maths or good math grades at school, but I was still able to understand that because of the way they structured the course. I was never able to follow a tutorial about shaders before, but now all of a sudden, hey, this does this does that, this node does this node does that, and it's just amazing how they explain things. So yeah, between week 5 and week 7, I would definitely choose week 7 as my favorite, I think, now that I think about it. And I'll tell you why. In this week, not only I was able to blend the knowledge from prior weeks in that week, but I've also learned how to apply all that knowledge finally, and create a whole unique shaders that were not shown in the tutorials, but I was able to create them or improve on the existing ones. And this for me was an eye-opener of how learning could be. I never thought that I will be able to learn so much in 7 weeks. It's amazing. So I was really I found it daunting at first, how shaders are, but then I was just like, okay, Jack, just go through it, fear not. And sure enough, VFX Apprentice were able to structure this week again in a fantastic way. I was able to learn about shaders, and I was able to create my own. It was just so amazing. It was so rewarding. Of course, it didn't go so smooth, but when you have a foundation, and that foundation, you worked on the past 6 weeks, and you worked hard. So when you come to week 7, things just make sense, and you will be able to blend those things together. Okay. Just like in the week where you learned about particles, week 5, you will also feel this confidence to tackle more medium level or more complex shaders that you see online, say YouTube video, or you read a blog, and now you finally understand what those tools are. And I think VFX Apprentice really laid a very good foundation for me to continue experimenting with those tools and eventually to make my own portfolio piece. Okay, that's it for week 7. Now we will go into week 8, which is about elemental particle systems. Yeah, so here's where the magic happens. A lot of the stuff you were learning in the prior weeks come to action here. It starts with combination of I don't want to go too much into the structure that I had because it might change, but there are lectures in that week from the mentors of VFX Apprentice where you will just get so much knowledge. So get ready to have a pen and paper and note down stuff. I think your future success really depends on how much you understand those lectures. So as for assignment, I would say this week for me, or at least in the year that I participated, was 2 sections. One with the lecture and the other one with a section where you will be able to take whatever you learned in the past weeks and bring it all in one, or not just one example, but a couple of other examples. So you'll be able to take something from the 2D frame by frame all the way to shader plus particles. Let's just keep it that way because I don't want to go too much into details. They might have improved that or changed a couple of content for it. And the good thing is there is week 9. Surprise to everybody, or at least there was week 9 for me in my case. It might change in the future. Week 9 is a wrap-up week, so you'll be able to have one more week for your own feedback back to them and to ask advice. Maybe you have a question about the industry, maybe you have a question about portfolio, maybe you have a question about anything. This week is the chance where you get to lay it all out and talk to them. And I found it very, very great to have that week at the end because I was able to give them my feedback and thank them for their amazing structure. And yeah, So, in conclusion, do I recommend it? I think it's obvious at this point, if you watch this video, that I actually do recommend this. It's a great chance. It's an amazing resource to start your journey, or even if you already started, to explore other sections of visual effects. So I think it's great, especially that you get this mentorship with it. Um, yeah, it opened my eyes to what learning can be, or as the potential of learning can be. It's great. Give it a try. Actually, if you're interested, at the moment of recording this video, the bootcamp, it's open, so you could sign up for the next one. The link is in the description below. Check it out. If by the time you're watching this and it's closed, fear not. You could subscribe to their all-in access. Of course, you won't have the mentorship with it. I would completely recommend it. It's a great experience for me. It opened my eyes, as I said. And yeah, keep an eye on it. I also want to tell you that there will be future videos from different courses that I attended, or different bootcamps that I attended. By subscribing, of course, you support this channel, and you make it more reasonable for me to attend those things and give you the experience, the honest experience I had with those bootcamps and those courses. Leave a like and subscribe if you like it. All right, I'm not gonna go in loops here. Thanks for watching, and peace out.